Valea Plopului is a rural village in the hills north of Bucharest. This is about as far removed from city life as you can get. One of the first projects we were able to visit was begun by a courageous Orthodox priest named Father Tanase. After visiting his combined church and home for street children, we then found ourselves on a small farm, a foster home with 13 young children. It was a little like being on Peter Pan's island, only instead of Tinkerbell, there was Philoftea Nedelui.
And one home where we visited, there were about 12 children. Most of them were toddler aged, younger than 3. There was one 4-year-old, 6-year-old, and 9-year-old, but they were the older ones. And we were amazed to see all these children. They were clean, they were healthy, they were well behaved, and you could just sense in holding them that they felt very secure, they felt loved, and they were able to bond with us.
Ana Maria, și ea a fost adusă de mămică sau mămică?
This ministry had a reputation throughout all of Romania for taking in children that nobody wanted and moms that had no place else to go. And the whole entire community participated in that with open arms.
She's happy. Alexandra.
And the woman holding her was Anna Phila.
There was this little boy sitting on a stroller, about a 5-year-old boy, too big for the stroller, but nevertheless he was sitting there chomping on a piece of bread, very stoic, didn't want to smile, but started talking to him. His name was Ionica, and after about a 5-minute period of time, he really warmed up, and he had us running up and down the valley side, showing us how he can control the sheep. He was just a little man out there and full of energy. I mean, it took everything from all of us to pretty much keep up with him.
We went up to visit these children that were watching the sheep, I think ages 6 through 9. And the sheep that they were watching were just kind of in the field there, and we were just kind of watching them, and I decided to try and chase them. I did not catch any of them.
The story behind that is that he was left in the trash can when he was under a week old. And I just, I can't really comprehend that, but it was brought into this family shortly after that and received some great deal of love from this lady.
These people really are starting something new in this little village, and it really was a transforming experience.
I think that's it.
Dânsul spune că să vă binecuvinteze Dumnezeu. God bless you all and take care of you and us.
Thank you. Thank you.
La revedere!
Eu iau numai 2 carne, că voi stați la asta acasă. Vai, dar ce aș putea să merg cu noastră, poftiți?
Thank you.
De ce nu v-ați salutat? N-am de ce.
He would have 20 years old, he will come with you to America.
You're not getting this on tape.
I get every word.
I had no idea the depth of spirituality that I'd find in Romania. It really impacted me to see how different Romanian Orthodox priests were working in their communities to meet the needs of that individual community. It really impacted me, and it made me come back from the trip looking at my own life and asking God, okay, God, what do I do in my community? How do I do the same thing? And how can I stimulate others here in the U.S. who are Christians to really become active in the community to meet the needs?
After visiting several projects near Bucharest, the team traveled to Constanța, a port town on the Black Sea.
Salut! Salut!
Constanța has approximately 60% of Europe's pediatric HIV/AIDS patients in a single city, some 1,600 children. World Vision assists several hospices and a hospital there.
Something that surprised me was when we went to Post-Cura, which was a hospital in Constanța, and we walked in the door and we were immediately met by children rushing at us, everyone wanting to come at us, wanting us to hold them, and we couldn't get to all of them as quickly as they needed us to, and it was so overwhelming realizing the need that they had and how desperate they were for affection. And there was such a need for love, and it made me stop and think about what can I do now going home? What hospitals can I go and care for little children or children dying of AIDS? How can I become more involved and more connected in ministry that way?
But I think one of the things that touched me most was going to the municipal hospital and listening to Dr. Matucha. I went in with the idea these kids have no future, and listening to her talk and tell us about what she was doing to try and make the life better for those kids really impacted me and gave me a different outlook on what we're doing with the AIDS orphans.
One of the most moving events of the trip for the team was when Dr. Matucha introduced us to a little boy named Damian, who was in the final advanced stages of AIDS.
Așa. Oh, bine, și a ta a fost? Când a fost ziua ta?
The little boy was an 8-year-old little boy that basically looked like a 3-year-old in terms of his height and his weight, and he was an abandoned child. He was tough to look at, and when we walked in, my head was telling me one thing and my heart was telling me something else. And I just knew that somehow I wanted to reach out and touch this little boy. Christina Reed, another member of the team, reached into her purse and got out a little keychain, which was essentially a sky scene of Seattle. And she handed it to Damian, and this smile just broke out on his face. And it just amazed me. Here's a little boy that is probably days away from dying. And a small little token like that could bring a smile to his face. And the Lord just allowed a real bond there in those few moments to happen with him. And then we laid him back down in his bed, and he went back to sleep.
Our next stop was the ancient city of Cluj. Our time in Cluj was filled with visits to micro-enterprise, health, education, and Christian outreach projects. But perhaps our very favorite thing was the opportunity to spend 3 days getting to know the orphans at the World Vision Assisted State Orphanage in Cluj.
And then there were 2 twins that I spent some time with, and Roxana and Ana Maria. And right away they started calling me Mama. And each one took a hand and didn't want me to let go, and enjoyed being held and the kisses and the hugs, and enjoyed me picking them up and swinging them around, and just fell in love with those 2.
There was a child that Anita had in her arms by the name of Titiana, I believe. And I guess it was her first time of actually seeing an African American. And when she saw me, she frowned up and jumped behind Anita's arms and actually didn't want to have any interaction with me. But Anita reached out her hands and touched my hand and my face. And then Titiana, moments later, reached out her arms and touched me. And then next thing you know, she was in my arms. And I guess that was an exciting thing to see, of a child coming out of their fear to experience the new horizons within their lives, or a pathway that they never walked down before.
There is so much wonderful ministry going on in Romania that we barely had time to fit it all in. Nonetheless, we made the time to experience something that each of us will remember about Romania with great fondness: the hospitality of its people.
I knew that Romania had been through tremendous oppression, and the people were very, very poor. and yet their graciousness and love just poured out. It was a journey of faith, hope, and love, and the love was so apparent. They treated us like queens and kings and gave all they had for us.
By the time we got to the end of our journey, on May 12th, we were a tired bunch. Tired, but grateful to God for the ministry we had been able to witness and participate in. We asked Susan Prudente, who headed up this year's employee campaign program, what she would say to someone weighing the pros and cons of applying for next year's trip.
I really believe with this vision trip opportunity here at World Vision that God puts it on your heart. If that's the location, that project, that country that He wants you to see, I really think if you're thinking about it, pray about it, take some time to seek out God's will for that opportunity, and then go for it, because your life will be blessed and you will bless others. It's just a positive win-win situation, so do it.